The Tale of Genji. Aoi. Murasaki Shikibu. Urameshi door. Placing the person in the eye also would only wonder if none other than Tutuotro Akiko Tenshi is the new Otashi. From the era of eras changed. Genji had become what is also not able to have interest. There is also promoted the cramped of rank. Sneak walking is also no longer lightly there to be had here, also not made the trouble of Otanawa enchanting lover waiting. Reward of the one Genji owned such resentment had shed just Tanku painful tears. Your indifference of Nakamaya. Hospital and Nakamaya became withdrew. Your position is the so come to live like a normal house. Husband and wife. Whether to the new queen mother is Nethamashiku Obo Shimeshi, which is Nyogo of the previous Hiroshi Waidian. Since to the hospital became Kumgo only to the imperial palace of nowhere near to not to come. And without warring take competitor Nakamaya as your comfortably looked. Seasons is sported as flashy becomes such as to the reputation of the world meeting of music. Your life of His Majesty the hospital was extremely your happiness. But it misses the Biobo Shimeshi is only crown prince to become to imperial palace. It becomes a worry that there is no person to make your guardianship. Became commanded it to Genji. Genji also was glad thinking Yamashiku, queen of the keepsake of before gave birth to the Miyasunda Koro of that 6-row crown prince has been selected to Saiku. Miyasunda Koro have felt the love of the unreliability of Genji. I also had thought from time to time whether let down to eyes by taxi to a younger Saiku. This rumor hospital becomes to ask you. The people that crown prince had been very love of my brother. You saw the treats without anything. I will not be the poor Saiku, not even niece, etc. Because I think in the same way as his princess. It should respect the Miyasunda Koro to save from either from amorous heart, heated or imized or colder as the public to criticize you. Quote, and now you say you're nagging to Genji. Because in it was to also think so Genji own heart. Had just been humbled. Doing it well thought the honor of the other party. Also loves fair any person. Is it good to not buy a woman of resentment? While available upon your advice. Arumaji heart to love with Nakamaya is become horribly trying to do if went to something like this your ear. It was to leave the hospital while sir. Since it is of even hospital has become until there is Seth of admitted the relationship between the Miyasunda Koro. Also for a woman of honor. And I cannot be hasty for myself. More than before that has become the tendency to respect the lover. But Genji is still not to the treatment as the wife publicly. Ashamed of point woman is older. Not by force request the wife of status. Genji is somewhat in the form that is to be good at. Hospital also becomes a woman and in note also not show the sincerity now become until there is no people that does not know in the world had a grudge against deeply. When this rumor has been transmitted from the world, the princess of the house of the morning glory of Shikibu sir. My only drunk on sweet whisper of Genji. Think the heart and might learn the folly to find the self in the bitter regret eventually but it was previously to write a sometimes short reply to the letter of Genji. It was also supposed to be not written the case of the other many. So the blatantly or show antipathy to say that the absence of that or taking a derogatory attitude Genji was delighted. I thought that then miss without forgetting over the years because it is such a person. While hate the Aoi misses you are in Sadaijin house. Written using mainly to the name of the wound. Which was written that this person has something like this Genji of the heart is divided in number. Hide the much other love for those who do not also do so. I thought that there is no purchase to say grudge. Mrs. was supposed to feel only bad mood if you were pregnant. Genji began to feel the also new love in Aoi Mrs. intends to become a mother of my child. And this is also the refuge of pregnant women with the father-in-law couples who think not become anxious while joy was committed to pray to the gods. While some of these things with a small margin in the mind Genji Love of lovers cannot go also visit without leaving the house is likely to would have been a lot. Woman Sanomi of the Queen Mother belly of the hospital is definite to newly Saiyan become quit. Saiyan of Kamor of that time last generation. Since the hospital also Fudo Shikisaki is also a princess became cum love in particular. But to be a Goyu to the ordinary people in different life as a servant of God was painful. Oboshi Meshi in your parental love. There was no more appropriate in addition to than it is the beginning of the ritual of Saiyan appointed, but there is also a time to be easily carried out in one of the ritual, which was decided a long time and seems now is performed fu extremely flashy. It's likely also depends somewhat on such a thing of your force of Saiyan minister for being in attendance on the day of your purification ceremony was also added to the addition to Genji right general of if there is a particularly infused of capacity. People who get away with watch car. Sunny, I look forward to the day I thought also Mishiku. Article of the main street is no gap between the car and the people of the watch gallery that could be in here and there. Competing for good hobby, Shitsurai. Feature had each also in cuffs of a woman that was issued from the bottom of mistakes. Although the festival is also a festival, these have been well worth to see the sights. On Aoi wife who is in Sadaijin house, it does not like so much things like go out to such a place. Because was time physiologically annoying. That haunts. But did not mind. I do not clogging in it. I am then I get to see the sights with us to each other does not have a hurry I and misery. Today is just now there are interested in looking up at you a general like. Even the people of distant also workers local. You will find so much a wife that does not become to go out for we ever come up to the Kyoto. Brought all the way to my wife and child. Quote. To say the wife who is to hear the temple like Mother Kunyu in. Today is two's just that I think wives is unsatisfactory is that not come out because it is getting better even your mood. Irish I go. It became a good incense. So it is suddenly not made the Tomo Mawari. Aoi wife is became the man of the watch car matrix of your purification ceremony. It was out of the mansion was from becoming slow the morning all the way. The line was out the fu not even show it to so very much. Because came out followed by several Sadaijin family car into the crowded car. It had just get lost and where to try to take the place of sightseeing. Have stopped many passenger seems the car of a woman of noble. Choose unexpected a little place of those that boring. The car which is the way everyone was the exception. Appearance in it is unexpected only thing that got a little older of a Jiro car. Favorite curtain under the mistakes very elegant. Even graceful color of the clothes of the people who ride much closer towards the back dojo of also. State that appears to leak little by little of the edge of the jacket of Sweatgen. Car. Such as it is likely to have come of the lady in the fu unexpected conspicuous bother there were. Two cars. This car is not a different. Maybe except stuff with other of. Not to touch the person of the car to say. Both on and there is a young servant. It is the grossly tear-eyed that went standing mind drunk of the festival. Such is the old house slave of the minister who is riding a horse. Not a thing to be so much. While stopping by as a. It is impossible to stop the momentum standing violence. Miyasunda Koro of his mother of Saiku is Weatherby in thought of comfort. This was the watch car had come in the fine line. If you are an ignorant face Sidaijin house who is all it is also in the heart new. I'll not thorns in it much of it or think that there is a pull of Mr. General. To say and the like. Because in the test ice are mixed also servants of Genji. If the protest, afraid to become even more troublesome. Icer making a face that does not know anyone. Ordered make a car of the minister who finally to the front. The car of Miyasunda Koro is pushed to the back of several units of the car was riding wife of Aoi. Wife. Nothing was supposed to be invisible. Then sorry for it. It did not have Kuchio Shiku that have been reviled and manifested look at whether it is Huon. Such a bare figure. such as a table on which lay the car of Nuge. Also legs are too long and everyone folded, since it is the air finally to keep the center hook the tip to the trunk of the other car. Also poor appearance, gross. But why is I think is Mia Sundakoro, and what went to a place like this is not even too late. How? Tried to go home and stop to see the sights. There is no also can seem difficult to go out to avoid the other car. Someday, I came into view. Voice say that was. Matrix is to say. And hear it? Or would not in the weakness of also love people because the figure of truly reproachful person is awaited. Since Genji is not aware of any, it is such that you have come of Mia Sundakoro. Nor should look back. Is a sorry Mia Sundakoro, as it was from the front of the reputation. In that on board of a lot of women to watch car did their wind flow as. Ignorant face was also play the curiosity of Genji while making. The pagoda show the smile seems to be that there were lovers of the car. Sadaijin house car is no at a glance. Here's the Genji was also through with a very serious face. Retinue of Genji in the parade passed in honor of the car of the gang. Mia Sundakoro the addition this also it has been insulted felt as tragic. Ruru no Nidodo each has the float of himself to Serena of Midarashi only a shadow river. I think such a thing. Spilling tears. While shame is Mia Sundakoro to be seen to those who taking the same car. Also the heart also seems to be if did not see the horse of the appearance of Genji was more beautiful than the ordinary there were. The people who participated in the Matrix everyone officials among which decorate themselves with bunsu beautiful dress but seemed to have suffered a light seems to officials. It seems everyone did not look good when compared to Genji, the Zujin of general temporary, in that it is less of example as captain of the guards is to serve also in palace circles, but was to be allowed to just like something of Sunny Miyuki. Today also serves as a brewer's right captain of Kano was in accordance with the Genji. That in addition to the Zujin each other also just to the good in both the face shape is selected. That Genji is a mons in the world seemed maybe at a time like this. It was no vegetation, not waving this world is to this person. To say that pot costume wearing a jacket from the top of the hair of the head. Such is the substantial identity of women and none also were sightseeing Sakakaru fall into the crowd. When hear else such case to see. Such as none, but recluses why seems ugly and what to do that. Only today is reasonable. Source of light minus the sympathy and because to try to see was inflated in the back of the kimono in the hair. Toka lowly woman, look ye gazing up the Genji also against the forehead everyone hand up to those of the working class. They were willing to not knowing prove to be any funny face if laugh its own. Also, such as attention catching should be no little local officer of the daughter of Genji. Riding in the car disguised as hard as possible. Toka are the sights in Fu pretentious. The streets of the article in such a variety of things had Uzuma, who is a lover of Genji. A look at the beauty of lovers in front of the eyes. I felt that was covered with a fresh reflection on its own value. Nobody was the case. Shikibu Lord of the Temple became come and see the sights in the gallery. It is a person who will become beautiful as dazzling feel that. Mia and I feel likely God attracted a mind to that beauty as has become your feeling even anxiety. Since the princess of the house of the morning glory is in Genji come in search of love there's a sincerity that cannot be seen in ordinary men's not forget also compelling from before until today. The people who have so much ambition there is a little drawback to favor it is have also. I learned a kind of inspiring and I think was the main of much less so much beauty. But it may be a marriage. Was not a movement of the mind that to try to mukuyo to love. Young wives of the temple was praised Genji until Kikigu Roshi. People of Sadaijin house on the day of the next day of the Kama festival was not out to see the sights, because there was in detail told the people the car of location strife of the day of your purification ceremony to Genji. Genji, thoughtless and tired of the attitude of Aoi, misses sympathy to Miyasunda Koro. While sufficiently equipped to qualify as a lady, from a strong personality that was lacking in Jomi itself, but would have no hate in so of people who are living the life of love around a man of such one person, while also no difference in human beings that accompany to learn the will of the hostess, who does not know that this is what you see. The other kind of love was insulted. Miyasunda Koro is an elegant lady with a knowledgeable Miyasunda Koro, no matter how bad Karif would have been to have been, but visited as soon as I sorry, because Saiku becomes still come to the mansion. Did not you there in the excuse that the refrain of God Genji must also is Urameshi to itself. Even while the psychology of the current Miyasunda Koro I know, both were being Chansoku and wills cannot have the heart to softness in the absence of things like claiming so self. Genji of the festival of the day was in the hospital of 2 articles without going to Sadaijin house, and it was not in the mood to look out to see the sights to the town. Go to the west of the pair. Was ordered to prepare the car to Waiguang. Anatsura also, do you get to see the sights? Saying, Genji had watched the figure of the Princess of Purple that pretend beautifully with a smile. You may leave, by all means come. I nay, let's bring together the beautiful look hair girl, then here I'll stroking by hand. I did not cut earlier a long time. Will be good day to strip hair today. Genji says while listening to it. Time to call the investigating officer of the Yin and Yang Road. I and my wife, we go ahead. I had to say, was Tenmi a beautifully disguised was dojois, but for hem of hair that was cut a large selection of cutish girl is afflicted with flashy hakama of Monori was particularly caught the eye. Mr. Queen of hair all I cut. Also Genji said, it troubled by too many. I wonder at length when I grow up and will be, no matter how hair is thought, and it was in trouble. Long to say that the people of hair, but I such before the hair thing a little short. It may be rather better to align too much. Genji of work while saying also it became at the end. Chihiro. And, this is a celebration of words stripped hair. Shanigan was thrilled. Rashid fate of the mill bunch of defunct Chihiro bottom scale is not seen each crack only. When Genji told this queen, to Nodoka Kara brand of Ikade are known but determined not filled hero tied with Chihiro. And he had written to the paper. Genji in addition to the beautiful people on whether ya young and ish lady had felt the satisfaction. Also the town was out without a gap car today, but was to try to see the festival of Matrix per Baba Temple. There is no convenient location. Taiken Len's troublesome place have come a lot in this area. Genji is to say, rather than to the car. Neither the stop, when you are hesitant, from the spilled ride full of people with a good woman car. There was a person called a test of Genji out a fan. Do not become here. I want to transfer it here of the location. It is a greeting that, well I think that would be to the where the wind flow woman. There is because there was also a real good place. Genji was allowed laid the car side by side in the car. Why was I thought envious whether now take you such a good place? Say it by folding a good fan of the end of the article, it was Taurus written on it. Karu wait for today's signs of Hakanashi and people of Kaza to Aoi Kokami. The stretched you so come and things tighten. Genji was reminded that it is the character of the source lady in waiting. Where Genji I thought ugly and will want rejuvenation to the irony. Held up Karu mind each and Abid Aoi to see Holusadi Mr. People to revenge. And wrote came also a song from the ashamed woman. Frustrated also because Dono people with only inserted Karukana name Kusaba the only have a Genji woman passenger of today. Were many net Hamashiku think people from coming in without even raising blind. Genji was the grace of the day of your purification ceremony is in the Lord's watch vehicle fu. Relaxed today. People of about riding side by side all imagine such a thing and it should not a woman of ordinary. Par 1 in which the when I think that in the source maid of honor not a problem even answer me of competitors in the name. Genji has been feeling a little thing insufficient. Sunny is better rather than to think that there are mistress of Genji. Source maid of honor of Hutan such as annoyed to truly be in the impudent old woman. Such as is also not too much dare. Agony of Miyasunda Koro had the other past few years of pensive become a thing of the beyond comparison. While will decide the people in Genji who do not have the love of as possible to the trust. To Saiku that would go to eyes appeared as well as discouraging things about parted by far. I want to be seen to have been abandoned woman no respectability also was worrisome. Also that you were in Kyoto with peace of mind to say or so. It was not it can be as long as there is a memory of it all ignored car strife day. And it could set their own mind. Perhaps because of the agony be awake or asleep. Gradually mind is go away from the body itself so as to taste the mood that has become what emptiness became ish illness. Genji without Ikira also is by far beg to differ to go from the beginning to ice. You smoked it going to love boring unexpected man like me. Is to become you to hate. But is the most from being not feel that gone too far. It makes become a generous heart unchanging one at all to the previous generation of the quarrel. By us continue to love I have hope. Quote, because Wasser stop, just say something like this. Then is seen unhappy with rough rapids and Gomiso Hikawa, leaving thought such pensive also Nagasamu. Or standing. Aoi wife was suffering very in condition of fu with the Mononoke. Since the parents we worry about, Genji is also the state that is possible to go to another is not allowed. Even to such as article of the hospital was only just sometimes go home. But was not harmonious ones in the couple. Heart and had enough Genji to respect than any other woman as wife. Yet to join many mercy me no information from was noisy of pregnant. Minister dual cultivation and prayer it had been allowed to consider it as a variety other than that at home. Mononoke came out a lot of things like that wraith, in which a variety of bid, even if it utsuzo to the people, have along just to Mrs. suffering patiently just without Utsura also a little, and nothing violently sick neither that to try to Nayamaso. Also moment also does not leave Mononoke there was one. What ascetics of a tenacity that cannot be free even in the monk of technology. It did not appear to be of average year. Sadaijin house of people, counted and whom mistress of Genji, and seek the plausible, the resentment only to Mrs. Woman eventually Rokuho of Miyasunda Koro an article of the hospital is a person who loves to be of Genji if it is not often have, saying, as well as to know the main from word to say to Mononoke, was nothing of get a place. Even though Mononoke raised the princess to like people like that nanny who left the love. Or as Tokabokon that this house came hostile generations come soaking in time of weakness. Such the never forthcoming Mononoke, main it seems not intended. Mrs. is nothing but cry. Is the painful woman to come up cough season's chest it did not and how to become nobody. Anxiety. From imperial palace of the hospital to be prayer on the use of sympathy coming all the time also. Became come allowed to separate. Nobody wanted to be if there is any chance of it to his wife with such an honor. The rumor that world all over has been or Tanidari spared was also the Miyasunda Koro to unpleasant mood. In the past as never though was not the case. To that stimulation the competitive spirit is not only to be small that the car dispute, but it is whether the Sadaijin house of people or how big resentment never imagined. Pensive were allowed increasingly beat time difference the disease of Miyasunda Koro, and Hibaka, the Saiku, had been allowed in dual cultivation go to the other house. Genji went to visit I sorry whether what way to bad to hear it? Because I was a man of the house is not a jitai. These people had to avoid the public eye. Also it needs more bits and pieces to Genji feel of Miyasunda Koro that did not come to see you long. Rather than a real intention had been told. Wife of the condition is also talking to worried up. I'd not are you so worried? Because parents have a great commotion way. A pity. I just think that no matter represents the curfew is until the well is a little condition. You once the larger have been smoking it will not look mind I am happy. Quote. They say things like, the look of foo feeble then hear out of the woman. Genji had sympathy thought to most things. Doubt also look at the Genji without necessarily wish to spell that beautiful morning appearance go back resentment. Yourself Miyasunda Koro thought and not as it can go far from away from this person. If the Masao people on the born child is, when will it become a thing such as pale awake love to have a woman other than the person? Be like now live every day waiting. The patience when would be to not follow the life. Yet also seems also to happen there must musings of never less Miyasunda Koro. The next day was sent from the only letter late. I do not go out while watching the suffering been seen a little Yuku made also to the sick seem to have suddenly bad situation out during this period. The phrase is a good excuse example, and also while watching Miyasunda Koro wrote a reply. Float each own tago to go down and stand while knowing sleeves get wet Ruru Kohi DJINN. There is also the old songs is frustrated each pumping died by kicking shallower if water get wet. Ruru mountain of well only sleeves. It is because, if it is the person who writes the characters that excellent among several people or lover. Genji while I think looking at the answer of Miyasunda Koro. It shall not be this world to the ideal as expected. There is torador advantages in education also in appearance on the nature. Cannot be discarded. I thought painful that it cannot be thus collected love to a certain person. It's also reply, but had become another dark road. Become to Seiyu and sleeves wet is. I think the resentment of those who do not Kudasara have a deep love. The deep Kohi DJI up and people are Sabotsu also only as are people that go down and stand in Asami. Do not Kuchizukara said by me this reply, and with the help brush that might one thing how painful. It had been said and the like. Your condition of Aoi is more and more bad. To be a Wraith 6 article Miyasunda Koro also. That when the father and his of the deceased minister ghost came to hear of the rumor, which is also said to have possessed Miyasunda Koro is its own Hikume Tanku addition to the people Sui cormorant mind such as although there is no and pensive soul that there be away from the body if sooner as or might haunt to tell such a grudge to the bedside of his wife of Genji, was also there's something like this convict is possible. In the musings of a continuous and may be said of his life. I had never thought about painful still now. Miyasunda Koro the resentment that Moda from the humiliation of the day of your purification ceremony is thought that has become a fire that cannot be longer suppressed even yourself. Dream to see asleep a little even is. Where the princess seems people are sitting in a beautiful appearance to go. Become violent yourself in front of that person. Or hit her with warrior the first time. It is not violent force that the reality of their own can know or so. In such a dream, looking at the many times the same muscle, it is deplorable that the soul is believed to will was carried away the body. Was also there when Miyasunda Koro it has become a fainting condition. No it is also the world is to say bad. Let alone when their own at this time I think that it would be a good person to satisfy their mamba. Greed. Miyasunda Koro is not helped but painful that hurt the honor. But the soul that remained of resentment to the people of the world after the dead to show up is the fact that common, although it even is that sad to think of the depth of sin. Living their owner is such a bad name also because bear. Everyone is a crime that resulted in the heart fall in love with you of Genji. His love for the people now was considered Miyasunda Koro the unexpected must be discarded from Kanti. Working in must be difficult not viable even trying to do so. Saiku were supposed to be you move into another imperial palace in the last year. But there a variety of touch has become to be a stepping you the first step of this fall finally Kesai life. And from the other in September is to become the go-you to the temple of the field of saga. At the same Butte people in this and Shitaku twice there for your purification ceremony day it is. What is busy Miyasunda Koro be allowed to vaguely the head was often live sleep. Men and women of residence has also been Dari asked for a prayer to worry about this. Not be enough to say what disease is the ailing to hang out. Letter also start and end sympathy from Genji. But the evil of the wife's condition to love seemed to be impossible and to come to visit this person on your own. It began writhing in agony of you begat suddenly aoi while you are off guard the family of people. Think so early to still production period. In addition to easy delivery of the prayer of the disease, it was also started many but examples of vindictive one of Mononoke just as not away from the absolutely wife. The famous monks also so much Mononoke was in trouble to say that there is no experience that I met. Indeed been kept to horiki or pathetic cry. Do not please a little loosen. You may want to talk to the generals. It is to say from the mouth of the so Mrs. Either is Anna it. Divided. You hit our imagination. My wife has also said such a thing. Led the Genji previous Kicho stood served in bed. Parents whose daughter became less asked. Avoiding the seat I think might there be put to say something to the good people. The monk that the blessings at this time read the Lotus Sutra to lower the voice was to the feel very welcome. Looking at the medium is Genji by pulling up on the Tarajinu of Kicho. Misses a beautiful face, and was sleeping in a way that only raised abdomen. To not be seen without tears in others. I think regrettable sad look is much less as a good person. Genji is a reason. He wore a white kimono. Complexion has become gorgeous in disease heat. Long hair a lot are bundled in the middle. It is served with a pillow. Beautiful women seem to be the ones most fascinating that you are in such a foo. Genji took the hand of his wife. Is not that sad? I to become not push this kind of painful thought. Many things have not been said. Just cry is just here. I was in the very rules waru likely when seen from directly in front of Genji. Tears while you are looking up at the motionless good people in the eyes divert to beside it was. Exiting flow from there. It goes without saying that Genji is remember the deep mercy only to see it. Look to cry. To look at myself also think or that of their parents. Go left. Genji thought I would remember the unbearable sadness of parting. Irish I not so sad. I think in not very dangerous state. Also it because even married couples I meet again in the afterlife by what happened though. Relationship to your parents were also tied. The parent and child of the edge is also the afterlife. With a special edge in Irish I believe that I can meet again. Quote. When Genji is comfortin', I do not have not. I did you would like to loosen a wall horiki from you will be painful in trying to ask you. I do not think like you koyo this way was out to here but think called the human soul to the pensive is really a thing go away from his. After you have said so in a nostalgic tone. Tan kiwabi sky in the turbulent maru under Yoda stop bare my soul gahi wife. Voice also stayed also was not a wife called. It's they've changed at all. Come to think of it I think suspicious. Mrs. had completely become a sixth row of Miyasunda Koro. Genji was a samashika. Even if the people are a variety of rumors. As that stupid unexpected people started to say. What has been the negation of Genji Waser appears as a fact in front of the eyes to this? If I think something like this is that it's also there in this world. Life began to appear in those unpleasant. Even now say you do that, you or I do not know who you are. Behold certainly say the name. Genji is the person's after saying. Looked exactly like increasingly Miyasunda Koro. The icon that is not enough to say in terms of such sordid Genji was remembered. Also signs of wives come closer near Genji as I megan it is Sanukna and chestward to Doroi. Agonize the voice subsided a little in the pain of sickness. When it becomes a little Taurus you may to have the hot water to drink or a temple like not became easier. Soon the child was born as Dakyoko said to the wife. When Genji was very pleased. That had been transferred to other human beings as all Kuchioshi once to Mononoke stood commotion. and there was considerable anxiety since it is the unexpected still more than even the afterbirth. The good people and parents made a digon to the gods it is at this time. Now that you safely all the blame in which was Aura's. Beginning High Priest Sid of Hiezanis. Nobody went back wipe the sweat to everyone Hogaraka. This person had continued to worry until relieved, and everyone thought that also appeared Shikwang of Kaifuku. Remember the peace of mind that the danger was also left with this dual cultivation, etc. also had to again take place. New life at hand now is a large joy for it as one appearance. Sadaijin, who is in the form-filled happily turn into yesterday. Prince how the hospital is a beginning. Banquet of flashy sanyo from officials has been brought every night. Their rituals because of the birth was even in the men's was deliberately gorgeous. Miyasunda Koro of 6 Row did not become uncomfortable to hear that kind of talked about. To Mrs. had heard another crisis the most. And why children could be an easy delivery. I think such a thing. That if several days which it had to his syncope, and try to quietly thinking, wearing incense, such as to also burn the monk of prayer goma clothes was that had died. Wonder I, or wash your hair, even if changing the kimono. Not still Aratamera. Miyasunda Koro is sad that difficult to denial of the theory of wraith referred to in the world. And whether the will to criticize what the people was suffering only in the mind one nor can try anyone to talk. If you do not should not finally would provide and liquidate his love. I began to think again strongly thereby. The Genji got a little peace of mind, seen in the vividly the wraith eyes, while remembering that when I heard the words of Miyasunda Koro, or feel the Kokoro Guroshi that does not go to visit long. Also in close proximity to the future Miyasunda Koro that while the ugly memory is in the mind, and the fact that is whether people can be seen as suspicious while his mind in the previous emotion, while are the agony, only letter to my damage the dignity of Miyasunda Koro wrote sent from heavy was condition of prenatal, watchful not their parents, as can now be seen, to think that there is a reason or worried about. The Genji is that still. Such as Oda now in traveling incognito the house. Such as a lover it is not to be. Mrs. is still weakness and grossly, because did not appear to have separated from the illness, rather than to live in the same roomish couple. Genji had been immersed in the beautiful wakagimi of love is also dazzling while small. It's his very important want. Born child of Genji from the daughter of the house. And all of it is getting to the ideal. The minister is willing that it is in. Aoi Mrs. Kaifuku had thought only the disturbancer been slow. But because the will is after you were and Nani in critical condition or also thought that must be the ordinary this. The happiness of the minister is not something that has much to discount. Also saw the beauty of wakagimi of eyes and the like are very similar to the crown prince. Genji to think you more than anything I miss even young Sumeragi Fudo Shiodoto is no longer be endured and that do not rise to the there of the imperial palace. I tried to go out, since sorry cares not rise such as to too long imperial palace. I for the first time. But do you they are about to go away from you. You want to from the story to go to place at least close today. So much reserve and get you to. These of these, quote, and Genji was relayed to his wife. I really there is not. You play to worry about the appearance because there is no in your relationship you like ye. Also you like is now you're shy to your weakness. Would you like if to talk in such things over? This was the advice my wife to wife. So I made the seat to the nearby beds. Genji was the story when entered into the hospital room. Mrs. is still feeble quite sometimes even Stonehenge. But when I think that the time that was in despair state, Genji being in like a dream happiness is not help but think. While you are talking about when I did not bear the anxiety. The person who appeared to be extinct also that breathing. Suddenly came to mind many things to eyesight started to say. And so unpleasant feel to not accumulate. Genji tried to Uchikiro the story. Well, let's too long talk is good. I will sometimes want to variously heard. Still, because you're sorry, I'll anger likely. After you have said this, nice to increase your hot water. In order to wife. Wives were sympathy to Genji to a good person seems how errand of such care of Yama Itsuma. It is a very beautiful woman his wife. Begged and weakness. The sleeping so of whether or not there was a painfully Karen. The beauty of hair took a little of the disturbance without any suspense to pillow had a charm of only take away the soul of man. Why myself for a long time and Will was watching with cod not feeling tired this man. The more mysterious long staring Genji stared at his wife. I understand too. Such is the imperial palace of the hospital. Let's come back early. But would be happy if it is possible to something like this and all the time I meet with. Because Miya-sama you follow me still. In the shadow while refrain from wondering what not to rudely agony will can have the compassion to me also that the so I strive to become better as early as yourself. Please as ever came to be needed together with us. You too much mother because what fun there even be you made to your treatment as a child forever. Quote. The going out of Genji was clean costumes put referred to as such as beds of Mrs. had watched intently then hero, because I was the day that determined the promotion of the fall of the officials. Because the minister was also palace visit. Son who also went out from everyone followed after that because these days if there is each of hope with each other to them I leave your side of the minister. And the number becomes less you are. By the time within became quiet residence, you were suddenly the chest began suffering as Sakiajeru of Aoi. Breath of soon misses issues the use of the pick to the imperial palace was extinct. Since Sadaijin also Genji also came to leave in a hurry. Was the night of dividing eyes. Appointment and dismissal of officials in this touch is in the form that was a disappointment. Not determined. Only Sadaijin house is confused by the sudden death of the young wife. He sits of Hiazan because was the middle of the night it did not have while also invite other monks. As those that emerged from the other critically ill state. To the tricky there was chance to anyone of mind. Since it is the death stalk, everyone has been stunned. Even come gathered here and there of consolation use. Without people such as those entrusted with agency of greeting. Just cry was full of premises. Minister of husband and wife. Is out 10 of Genji is a good person of the deceased were of extreme. I think so far of it was often became a temporary state of suspended animation for Mononoke. Cannot even fix a pillow as dead. 2 or 3 days is still let me sleep as disease wife. Waiting for resuscitation it was. But it was only to prove that the time is already dead body. Why try to deny the other death as of everyone admitted that there is no nothing. Genji with mourn the death of his wife. Been considered itawashi of life as deeply. Words of condolence to come feedback from some places also. None did not appear pleased. Hospital was also sure your is your sorrow. Minister is the as flowing tears of deep emotion after the death of honor of the daughter. As the art of resuscitation according to the advice of the people. It is also the minister is to be carried out in a cruel way not to wear and tear to the remains. But was waiting to come out of the breath of the daughter was all useless. It is to become one another several days. Finally had to send his wife to the crematorium of Torahenna. In this way also it is the people mourned. As the beloved daughter of Sadaijin. Retsurua people in the funeral of expression as a wife of Genji. Collected the temple's monks for the sake of the Buddha. Bird-side field was buried in such people. Hospital is that of the well. Yukasaki Kata. Read a message of condolence angel who has given from the crown princes by payment on site too. Sojo one after another. Minister gave me the sorrow had also lost power to stand up. From become such an old man. If not a crying helpless I have died to the daughter of the young prime. I did not have people that does not look sad the minister cry saying. Shame. Although a large-scale ceremony of the moral night suffering. The ultimate went back to everyone. Dawn supposed to be only of lonely come at a wide field. remains in order to smoke. Death is one in which do experience more no Genji only to die one of the mistress before is to also give a great pathos now. In time with August 20 days too much Ariaki month. The color of the sky is also the shim to the body. Without bear to see while sympathy to hidden of minister cry think the deceased child. Genji was supposed to see the only sky from the car. Climb pain wonder if the smoke is pathetic of Nabit Kumoido mo ne divided with it. Genji as I thought this. I could not sleep even a little is also home to home. Recall the married life between the deceased and the two people of the long. Why my will did not show enough love to my wife. If I get even not trust, other than their love for the opposite sex go wife I think in the eye and carefree no. Well why the crime? Such as in response to a temporary impulse reminiscent Urameshiku of yourself made. And so I wife did me a lifetime sincerely frank in such a thing. Genji but is of regret now was not even when some of the other what to buy. To wear morning dress of pale dark gray it was also felt like a dream. If he is dead ahead. His wife is also sadness of Genji were coming up springing think that would be half-tan wearing a dark color of mourning than this. Mortar boku koro mo shallow but tears if only each karu without the edge of the sleeve. In the after singing a state of Genji that the Nenza was also without gloss only. Read through whispered Genji who says Hokai-san my hero Shikendaishi seemed rather precious than the monk was accustomed to the Buddha worked. Looking at the Wakagami became even more sad as thought that we picked the grass to endure in what? Nakari's Bamite's child concluding put shoulders like this old song. Me left behind even in this keepsake only and must not Nagusan that was also Genji thought. Mrs. Mia like Sadaijin is alone with that became your Nemi sunken sadness. Or house of the people to be also your life it seems in danger had Prarazan in a hurry. Ghost standing lonely day Zunzan. Also in the Shitaku of the other Shirjakunichi-ho. Mia was your sad because was to not also basa completely unexpected. Sadness of the parent after the dead and many daughter of disadvantage might just how deep those. Let alone became to lose your mother kun. Since it is of a princess of the closer completely as a lady. Your this Tanki is extremely it must be said by me and be a reason. But because the princess was the house, which remains to be lonely you think that it is one person. Your heart became lose you the only princess is more regrettable unfortunately than crash the ball placed on top of the sleeve and it must have made you have to. Genji is not to go at all. Even to the article of the hospital. Wasser living in the Buddha worked to concentrate. Only letter to the place of the lovers had sent. Since Miyasunda Koro of 6th row became enters tale Saiku to the government office of court security. Office. Is not to be news only to the person entrusted sense to refrain from the negotiations of the people. Of mourning in Kesai life became more strict. Early in life was watching pessimistic becomes more these days Itoishiku. When several people of the lover who not must yara think also to the future. But such a thing becomes no if monk I think. Genji is what appears to be the eyes and foremost was the vestiges or lonely princess of the pair. Of the West night went to bed alone into the Toburidai. Even maids are sitting around it in great numbers in the night duty. That no one near the missus was so lonely no only. What time servants any faller the might's view there should rue another person Koishiki Genji in. Such a thought was Nezumegachi. Leave us not the Buddha choose the voice of the good monk. Were those that cannot bear mood such as the dawn of such a night. Autumn feel the shim to the wind is only these days that became deeply. In such a dawn, a branch of flowers Shiragiku began dyed a light color. With a letter written in gray paper bluish. Carried out at was there was a use. I wonder who is that pretentious. And Genji is to say, was the character of Miyasunda Koro looking open the letter. My mood had taken not even asked to withhold up to now, or will be you started to become you can see. Do it what omoi the okururu do in pathetic, and here also suyukeki the people of the world. And had a look at the color empty this morning, the shim to body, it became one to write about. If it is character that has been written more beautifully than Hirao Genji will look to not be put down as soon indeed. It was Urameshika, and I think that is consolation like ignorant pretend. Genji was agony even if is cruel to breach, even if there is that it. And also I think not supposed to hurt the honor. Dead man anyway must have been the life of the just there. Why I thought Genji that such that it would have seen a wraith of obvious Miyasunda Koro was all my own eyes. Love of Genji is of being suggested hard to go back again. Also whether it will not be a nuisance in your kesai of Saiku I was thinking for a long time. But I think also too heartless not to reply to the letter that came sent all the way. Annie wrote the paper with grayish purple. I do not see you much longer. But I have all the time I thought in the mind. These me sympathy in confinement thought I would as too. Transient each as the orchid to put the mind in the same dew of the world's servants disappear only. That stops. So well as to become a hateful and you think take it away you forget all. Such is the letter of the person of mourning. As I had a long silence I also was wondering whether not to look. Miyasunda Koro is because was when I was in more of a home. Gently read the letter of Genji, that you have alluded to the meaning of a sentence. Nor is not being guilty in mind Miyasunda Koro is was realized immediately. This is also mourned that it from all his Hakume hospital when the rumor went transmitted in such wraith would be if Oboshi Meshi be. Before Sumeragi Fudoshi Odoto and was also especially your Mutsumajika to say that your fellow countrymen. Because Crown Prince is also your Asta Hospital the future of Saiku became Ri-Your Hung. In the second of the father in the era become Yaro will say. Is there often that, even when it becomes the Lord said to as it is also to the concubines living in the imperial palace. Yourself as it has seriously that there was a your decline. It is to the young Genji love too. At length the what will take the notoriety Miyasunda Koro was not superior to health in the mind the heavy trouble. This person is from the old days. High knowledgeable if they're educated. As a refined lady of the hobby. Because I had quite famous people. And Saiku is to enter your finally to the temple of the field. There's Windflow Playground. Etc. Literary favorite youth. Such as palace circles officials. Rumors that the all the way go out to visit up to Saga in these days of work and into the ear of Genji. I thought is that the most excellent is the artistic presence it is undeniable people. When it would be a great deal when you are going even to the eyes gone pessimistic lonely. Is the truly Genji thought. Ho's done already. Which Torikoshi the day, was the Genji until properly Shurja Kunichi and Karasu in this house. And sympathy to Genji to the corner alone with no experience in the past. The current third-place Lieutenant General all the time visit came in. Was transmitted to many small talk Genji from this person. Serious problems. There is also a love affair. Good source lady in waiting has become the humorous topic. Genji, the poor. I do not say cheesy your grandmother like. And also saying that the lady in waiting or fu must not funny in itself. Of the story the night was dark of the spring month of the temple of Hitachi also. Was also Motoyabui XCL of other mutual love affair. Is such a story while you are talking long gone frown everyone shadow. Genji say the loneliness of life was also like crying. Quick shower is a lieutenant general in the evening the shim to the only ones after the takake. More pale color of the up to now the heel thimble of morning of dark gray. Full of strong youth. Came out and Kimiko seems in their appearance it was. Genji is asked the body in front of the railing of the west side of the Sumato. It was when you were looking at the garden of Shimagare. Rough wind is blowing. And see the drizzle also fall and break apart. Genji thought, such as those that compete with their own tears. Phase Fen Sheng lost both Rumeng, Kumoima ignorance for Tamiami. Genji marked with a hosa while humming an I thought the lieutenant general in the erotic mind and my soul is going to always be away when the dead prior if the woman Tae sat down and bowed to come closer while quietly watched Genji as though was an appearance that was informal. But in order to pay homage to the customer, only string of repair was over. More of Genji than the lieutenant general had piled the single clothes of the beautiful colors of red on a little thick dark gray. Such a mourning figure is very shiny. Lieutenant General was also looking at more of the garden at the sad ice. It looked not come and the people of Izure the Guru empty Yukagumoshi become a rain minute. I do not know where it is. Genji is the answer to that say of himself in time to live oysters to become a rain of people she viewed Sahe Kumoy and soil drizzle. Even though is the heart of the depth mourn the deceased can be seen. Lieutenant General until now, and to Obo Shimeshi of the hospital, the father of the Minister of Favor. The relationship is an Ankun of Tahamaya. Such a thing is only holding back here. Genji did not appear to be devoted sister. Myself, although it is intended, had also represent sympathy with it. And I love that irrefutable that different from the surface was Genji had to wife noticed this time. For the first time. Thereby also the death of the sister was spared. But although only gone is one of the people, it is to think these days everyone is entirely lost hope in the house. Genji saw the blooming of gentian and pink and the implantation of grass withered. That the was folded, after the lieutenant general was back. And to use your prime minister of the nanny of Wakagimi temple like I was doing to half your living room. View each and grass withered in the autumn of keepsake she farewell the nata shiko remain in the maze. This flower let there is visible to your eyes to those not compare you like. It was this aloud to greeting. Infant that has been likened to Nadesico was really like a flower. Since the tears of the house like is time to fall faster than the leaves of trees in the wind. Let alone Genji of the song ran your heart. Quite how wet the sleeves also see now do not fence so there Nishiyama and Nadeshiko. There is your henge that Genji still not be able to drown Surezure of morning glory to the queen of human nature with Jomi wrote a letter if there's a trust that would be me and my heart ache their own. Today, there was already dark it was issued a use. Although close relationship is not showed immediately to the queen wife as the coming of something like this occasional letters that are familiar with things from the other old. In the same Karakami the sky color of the fall of the evening. Wakite this Kurwat sleeves Suyuka carry product Omu Autumn Amata through Naredo. To as Kanazuki always etc. Shika sugar is down. It was written with, in particular character of Genji, which seems to have written note it was beautiful. On the other hand it says the original wives. Reply because I thought even the queen himself so was supposed to be put out to write. While I will imagine these days of your lonelier daily life. It is also there than has been withhold if to ask. Sky Ruru drizzled and she heard that unexpected late start to a kikiri also omreach and how. It was only the faint writing as was a letter that can remember the kokoroni ku of. Although it is unusual that the other seems better than when previously was a lover after you get married. It is not as nothing that can not attracted the heart of the still not obtained lover from the proclivity of Genji. Sober Genji thought also the Queen of Morning Glory spared no sympathy in the case that even if calm is likely to continue it past the fraternity forever. Because two extraordinary women are those Saishiki possessed by itself also becomes rather misfortune physician. Is so the princess of the west of the pair was thought also do not want to education. When will that he wants no matter how lonely and that you do not go back. But is around the queen of purple I missed. It is the daughter who just lost her mother was in I think and the emotion that is similar to his father to keep in house or not as Ulama. There was no such thing as anxiety and wonder is not the suspect. Became so completely night. Genji is the only May wife who allowed put a light to the nearby was the talk called to everyone. Living room. But because your Chuinagon was a person that is from long ago lover relationship. This morning is a rather not Genji is treated as such a person. Is your Chuinagon glad at his aspirations of Genji to miss his thought? But with this person as a master-slave Iser told rather than extremely Mutsuji. Since he lives in every day this way together with anyone these days. You've already completely accustomed to this life. When everyone and no longer be had together. Apart from the fact that you no longer wonder. Wife is not lonely. A little it is often a variety of sad to be life think. And when the Genji says, also there was wives those crying from the beginning, everyone cried. Although thank Kanashu only I remember it is that of the wife as the world becomes dark. This time also you like is turns it going from here. Completely and you think you would sports be towards the elsewhere. Not last until the end of the word to say. Genji while directing the eye of sympathy to anyone. Or what is why it such as completely become of elsewhere person. Looks are you looking at me as such frivolous? It will be appreciated if there is me have patiently look human. But also of me life would have happens. Not the self-confidence. Quote. To say. Tears shining in the eyes of Genji that staring at the light. There is no parent that special wife had lovingly dojo as. The air you a forlorn face. Genji my heart ached to be the most. A techie guess I became a person who not get only cherished to me anymore. When Genji auntie say, the child is crying make a voice. And the body reasonable short pine black color. Was wearing also a pretty called black sweatgen of reddish yellow hakama. People who do not forget that wife. Be patient even boring. It because I please small-lived children and together with. Everyone is more the old days and ended up with war scattered will also be lost form shadow. Lonely it does that is. Quote. Genji is be carried out and take along. Love each other. My wife we wonder so. Was not the anxiety that it would be overlapped a not wait more than the old days. Minister of the wives. With a difference in status or seniority. Deceased loved hand around the goods. Then clothing, etc. Was doing nicely divided not as much as the stand in the eye. Genji is thought that not has continued these Kagokyo. Decided to here today to the Imperial Palace of the hospital. Car available as. In the hour and minute a person of precursor came together. Bedrizzles such as tears spilling sympathy farewell of this house of the people and Genji is. Rain down. Quickly dissipate wind the leaves of trees was blowing. Wife who was in the living room of Genji thought very everyone Kokorobasoku. Standing from the death of his wife the day. Was in tears that had forgotten a little also like a waterfall. In anticipation that the stay of Genji in the hospital of the article from tonight. And Yumukai Yo a husband in there the steward and samurai. Nobody everyone with each other to go home Totino the Shitaku. It may not end up everything today is a very sad sight. The minister also became come to also feel a new sorrow temple. Genji to the temple as you're in a letter, was the greeting. Because the hospital seems to be obo shimeshi want very ice. Today there is going to now ask there. Also case and try so I tasu go out I have to the outside thus negligence. It will feel strange as that was not dare to live with the sorrow of so much. I see you now do not increase because there is likely to upset anxiety more in sorrow as. It is because. Not eyes to look you in tears recruited as sadness in the house like your heart. Your reply was no. It came out of the minister after a while to the living room of Genji. Is very sad. Remains applied to the face of the flow of tears the sleeve. Wives see it was also sad. Appearance of Genji cry is wrapped in the sorrow of life. Was a gloss also that time. The minister was barely started to say things. If you take a year. It is what is good tears that it is not anything. But because I came o the blow. And the other I do not have to say that the time to be released from tears. I am in such a weak man because what you do not want to show to the people that there is not to be waiting upon also to the imperial palace of the hospital. Please keep in becoming hello to your intercession from you in passing of the story. Is when another life expectancy drawing to their close no. Abandon the child, better were it. Thank your Meshu. To say while holding the sadness in very hard was this. Genji also said while drinking several times tears. Even if we're aware as might someday who is to die, taken as the phase of life. Our sorrow that I experienced it at hand cannot be anything described in Rikutsu. To your also of your hospital how I would like better. Will sports your sympathy always. So not may leave other outing. Since drizzle seems to come chase later. Good. So come to one that does not at least late. The minister advised. Toka behind the Kicho and Genji is looked around the inside of the parlor. Toka beyond the Fusumako. About 36 wife was making a mass of several in sight all the way. Dark morning is also mixed pale dark gray. That the Isfu was May to all forlorn Genji thought pathetic. Since he is needed here also, Yuriko. But we comforted himself and not necessarily never be made to visit us to this residence. We are the future. Simple woman who is this house as long as today's you like Oramashi pessimistic and he becomes to his hometown only. Then when the farewell of life and death, sometimes sad once a farewell as we were happiness has been lost will be served the section. Patronage of come cage also it seems the most of. Long but did not have things like us to come all the way. That time I believe that fortunately not do this someday come around to my house. Of the opposite loneliness what it was or try to wondering is. But it does not have it anyway lonely as the evening of today. Quote, and the minister is to also cry to say, it is a sad want wives and the boring conjecture. But as of now your words. Play me anything even if it is thought to carefree as that would forgive yourself of the trust to his wife. Selfish to the outside although we have had also things like the long silence around. Lets the other me a bullet in me because thy wife is gone I do not have any reason to be hadden. Carefree mind. Again soon your visit. Quote, to say. After you saw off the outgoing Genji, the minister went to the place parlor. Who lived with Genji. Once you lived the daughter of the couple until today. Place office of the thing. Nordaru interior decoration. But as before nothing changed. Seemed to those grossly vacuous. In front of the book block is come out an ink stone. Was also such as paper. Which was wasted writing. Paying though the tears. The minister is spectacular was reading taking it. Young wife he wanted committed while not sad. It is written a lot of old poetry. There is also a cursive script. There is also a regular script. It's good of shape. Tansoku after you. And the minister had a mono amoishi grandeur and patiently watched the space. Genji seems insufficient. Also regretted the old minister that it is no longer in the son-in-law. Next to which was written the phrase of the poem referred to as the old pillow late quilt who granted both to the fire if the deceased solely chidodo sad sleeping she floor of a cougar waterfall mind. It is written, this is the place with the word Mandarin ducks kawara haya shima hanakasane. You cry estimates dust paint floor summer of duout payment hyakunu yoru sleeping nurin. Here as Genji was dead of pink it seems to those of the same time as gave to the temple like flower. Has been sandwiched by folded from the garden someday. Minister showed you them to the temple. Child I was cute enough to wonder if there is a thing called so much cute children. And I think it was a child of faith that cannot continue to increase parent child of the edge with me. Be rather was rashly could be the parent and child reproachful and I to try to forget I have something like this. The day is in trouble and what to do to become miss not be bare in accordance went. And really sad is to become as its general it becomes to others te does not become. Day or two in the middle is autumn. And even when you were a day all the way not to come. I am breast was hurt by not meet you on that one. And the other generals of the family man no longer seen. Why I will be alive. Quote. Finally the minister to spare no voices to burst into tears. A little older wives who was in the room was crying alone everyone at the same time voice. Sighed in the evening the house was as sad as the chill is. Young wives are clustered here and there. It also had talked the sadness of its own people, as Lord has told us, to serve you in Wakagimi, but I'm thinking of trying it to the sad consolation. It's just who your keepsake is small Kimiko like. There was also those who say that I have to go to for a while home, also I'm going to come. Something like this was also those who were desired farewell of their et al. Each other, and it was also considerably wanted seriously reluctantly. In the hospital I turned to look at the Genji. Was very thin. It may be because had a vegetarian every day, sporting a worry and was or become so pressed a meal in your living room. His parental love to become a lot of your caring Genji thought Mata Inaku. If you go to the palace of Nakamaya, wives came once rarity awaiting upon the long time of Genji. Everyone gathered. Nakamaya also there's your word to the Myobu to the agency. Because you are that became accepted a big blow. Your sorrow easily even if it stood when it would not be such that loose. Impermanence of life is there in me was my been lessons in a variety of things anymore ever. And it will try been proven at hand. Is not forced to become pessimistic. We do lot of agony beneath it. The much more that we received often Kataji Kana your words. Theirs was able to have this until today. Quote. And Genji was the greeting. It looks good people of Fu also moist heart and not at a time like this is. Today has also caught the sympathy of the people along also other lonely shadow that. A gray underprone boric of Moomin. Crown was winding rays that used by the people of mourning. Such a figure appeared glossy flare in that adds calm to the beautiful people. That I mentioned a long silence also to the crown prince of the story. Such as that the unexpected Shibiki Koroguro Shiku Genji has exited from getting to late at night in the Myobu article of the hospital as any palace also been able to clean up. Men and women had received wait for the return of his master. Wife with identification was also outlined everyone today. Genji to the moment I saw this wife who was the gorgeous clothes are clean guys. The wife had been let mailer care had been chosen shoulder. Floating inside eyes when leaving the Sadaijin house. That people did not have seemed pathetic. Genji went to a pair of the west from the Chakuge. Among the parlor that no Korazu was changed to winter decoration it has been overlooked in the gorgeous to each other by also all beautiful dress of the young wife and dojoess was of being represented by a tribute to the good offices of Shanagan. Queen of Purple was sitting with a beautiful seal. While you did not see you for a long time, it became very adult. When you see the face by pulling up on the Tarajinu of Kicho. It was equipped with the non-also struck enchanting beauty of one point in how to embarrass to reduce the little body, and vestiges of human side that has been illuminated by the light. Such as the shape of the head that is from the date of first love ended up as the most important. Into the chest until now. Listen is and know that you no longer be those a little of different Genji was glad. From a little like talking about between that were not met by the buckwheat. Because you have accumulated talk a lot. But I want to let them hear slowly. I am because the person who had been muffled to come to this day would be creepy. Let them also make it to rest over there. Because the other is from now on or just with you. It might at length is reluctant loud from you. Quote. Appearance of the Genji a thing with the falling sigh was saying. Shanagan has been delighted to hear. Not that at all peace of mind. Because it is a lot of fine Mistress Genji. Also troublesome wife is in place for the princess and had been suspected that it would be is for. Genji went to the east of the pair. It was while sleeping let stroking and foot to the wife of Lieutenant General. The next morning wrote a letter immediately in addition to the children's nanny who is the minister of the house. From there came the pathetic reply. Was for some time grieve Genji. Is a Zure a solitary life. Genji was not reluctant even to go through to the place of lovers. Looking at the queen has been completed in another fine full-fledged lady. Seemed to have reached a time when it may be the other substantially marriage. Be subjected to Seihutan. such as you have never exchanged between seasons of the past two people to you. Purple was not, through its meaning. Sure's array of Genji is nothing but a pair of the West. Lived a day in the like Princess and Bianyin's play. An artistic quality with superior opponent of the princess. Goodness of the head was pleased a lot of Genji, but unlike the past that could please to caress as immediate family, is plagued of coming to join about love if you love become a thing that cannot be answered. The painful treatment Genji took. It is also that did not look different even in the eyes of the wives after also before of such a thing. Genji only got up early, and there was mourning. The princess does not leave the floor. Wives' will still remains. Why you Nemi? I wonder if your mood is not that of your bad. I was worried to say both. Genji's was carried out to put gently the box of ink stone into the toburidai when you go to the east of the pair. Who Waka Murasaki when also not likely to come out to the buckwheat is looking to raise the head. Letter signed but there was next to the one pillow. Looking poured into Nanaganashi. The clothing in she familiar indeed repeatedly wonder if Karu be separated without Ionite. It was as it is written. Us did not look imagine purple that there is such a mind to Genji. Why I had not become miserable and I think that was probably have to trust that unscrupulous people. To noon came Genji. I feel like you bad. What way such happened? Is not that lonely not be struck with go as today. It's as if more and more princess while looking is from being had deeply under the nightclothes. When my wife went retreated to the far and the refrain from a little. Genji said snuggled up. Why would not push to the worry to me? You let heal you so you was not a so though I believed he us not love me. Come on mood. Everyone will shy suspicious. And turn the nightclothes. Queen sweat forehead hair was also wet to Gus Hori. What happened? This is very. It takes a lot of mood. In Fu you have become sincerely your Meshiku the Genji purple. Also do not say things word. I do not come to you any more of the place. Since I fit in so embarrassing Genji is seen at a Suzurabako while saying the resentment did not contain the song. I think the Karen that it seems too little girl people, but was comforted by opinion on buckwheat throughout the day. How it does not even try to Uchi Tokyo was shown more this person Kawaii Yuku think. That night was the day to eat Bing of the children of the boar. And the refrain to Genji after that there was a misfortune, and without being very much, had been brought to make the various things of only beautiful Cypress Yabuko justified west of the pair fart. Genji seen them come to the south side of the parlor. He was ordered by calling Waiguang to there. The Bing. I do not in very much as of tonight. I not a lucky day as you want. Today bring to sunset around tomorrow. In the state in which said with a smile Toshi Takumi a Waiguang have guessed all. Even there so auspicious beginning of your expression is not to choose a lucky day as. Even if I do it. The child Bing of child alum not a child of this evening of the boar let there which was my made how. Listen in a straight face. Much tonight of 1/3. And Genji replied. Fu is Waiguang savvy withstanding. The thing that attitude that yan are not one evil rules can take, Genji thought. Without saying anyone, Waiguang will be enough to be almost Tezukara to say. The preparation of a night of Bing 3 days of the marriage of my husband was home. Genji is in trouble to allow healed the mood of the new wife. Genji cannot help but remember the also interested by feel to take the pains of about dealing with the people who came for the first time steal this time. Human beings are those sorted. Genji was think if the other yourself do not think also going to be needed to break up with this person that overnight. The it has been ordered Bing Waiguang has brought waiting for trouble to become late at night. When is asked to elderly people such as Shanagan going to think you bad rule? And also such a caring. Waiguang it is called the wife of the valve of the daughter of Shanagan. This is a thing that must be give to your pillow under your bedroom definitely. You ask. Certainly. The valve was the feel a little strange. I still have never let whom the negotiations, such as required of sloppy deception. and he received while saying, "It is so. I had to refrain from words to say or something like that bad faith today. I also used by the only nice words of another auspicious." And Guang said, "Young Valve remains of feelings. Not sure of the reason. From under the pillow original Kicho of the bedroom of his master. Went to put into or enter the vessel of Bing of the night 3 days. Description of this Bing also must Genji to the new wife was the own. Nobody was tired, nothing of the mind. But when the box of the Bing is lowered from the bedroom the next morning, there was that only as nada to the wife or entourage. Dish was with the more stunning flower foot I think it has always also available. Such as Bing also it had been made especially beautiful. Shanagan was crying thrilled. Favor of properly stepped on it Genji in the form of marriage as the was happy. Even so, I wish you sure you want if to us to softly you told her. I wonder if you will that person did not think to wonder. She had whispered, Waka Murasaki and honeymoon after and out to the court. While her had been waiting upon the hospital was also constantly Genji floated in mind the remnants of lovely wife. It is not help but miss. A strange change had thought that has emerged in my mind. Although from the place of lovers is to also come Urameshi wants to let her lost long. On the even others cannot help indifferent some of them. Or putting yourself in the pleasant good honeymoon Genji force must were extremely weak. The fu that had become pessimistic Genji was making to the surface. Forever not know these feelings is followed by either. But when I think that I want to see when he becomes a completely different person and now. The only such answer Genji has had in the lover. Queen Mother has Udaijan of the father from the fact that Kimi's sick sister thinks of you still of. Genji also these days. It also looks like a nice edge. Because of Masao people died. Never is a disgrace of the house to re-son-in-law also that person. Became come outraged to have to say. Dat Miyazuke, it is a little not be bad if we raised as gradually status. Became come encourage frequently the court containing saying. Genji entering the ear of the rumors. Because it's had more than a love of moderate comparable to that person. But also feel sorry. Currently in Genji cannot be found in the heart to divide in addition to the Queen of Purple there. The 6 of you is also no way to go in accordance with destiny. Since the short life of the I should be happy to set the one person you love most in my wife. Would like not made even a little the cause like buying a grudge. I thought this way. Conflict of Rokuho of Miyasunda Koro and former wife was to be said and was allowed Kolai Genji. Although the position of Miyasunda Koro is sympathy. There, Midazaru mental harmony is to live together is questionable. If Karere if you are satisfied with the past, such is the relationship, it is of their own and will be able to love Genji as thought as a friend of higher hobby. Heart that would farewell Korakiri was not truly. That the princess of the 2 articles of the hospital does not know yet as the world how many people. Since it is possible to suspect the real, and must hurry to announce to the Chichimi Genji thought of expression of saying clothes prepared it was also to be ordered to officials who have become their own dependencies. Such a favor of you are not happy purple. I had betrayed the pure trust is the regret that then his recognition was insufficient. It was to avoid the Genji as not worth even eyes. It is fu unexpected must be painful to or hung refers to Hutan. And previously with just the desperation and goods Omowashi likely in that beautiful Genji estate. Of completely unusual wife also. I thought also be Dani. I might have come to love you no matter how long. I will so that you're better as I already became hate. So I do not have him poor. There was also try to say Rashiku resentment. In this way late this year. It became the new spring. The New Year's Day and the palace visit from the waiting upon earlier to the imperial palace of the hospital, was around to congratulatory palace visit also to the palace of the crown prince. And Genji immediately to Sadaijin house from the imperial palace went. Minister of New Year's Day even though muffled in the house. But without the story of the family and the deceased were just lonely want. in the visit of Genji, by force, or else's to try to suppress the sadness Niigata likely to looked. 1-year-old piled minister house of people and served with emoji of the beauty of Genji saw. It was also clean masa than before. If you go toward the old residence resigned in front of the minister. But wives came together once rarity to see everyone Genji, who was also from being spilled all with tears. It becomes larger surprisingly out for some time looking at the Wakagimi. Was also laugh off and pathetic. Since the eye's mouth is just like the crown prince. Genji had watched with this or with unsuspecting people. Early spring in the room had been decorated in the same way as when I had a wife. Although harugi of Genji, witches had made to the clothes hanging in the rods had been hung. It is lonely also only in appearance that has not been hung side by side woman of clothes. Wife greeting the temple like came in Toratsui. The only I have patience and must have just forgotten the old days today. Rather its effort I have wasted by gave me your visit. Then also, once upon a time I let maid here from Omeshimono also. But is now only to poor workmanship because my eyesight is also ambiguous and tears later from there. Just not please Kake also such a thing today. To say that, in addition to the ones that are over. Beautiful costumes one that was very elaborate set was given. Under raid became not major course as those made in today's chakuryo. The color also was not weave even ordinary goods. The Shitaka saying Genji immediately thought that would be the ifne wearing forced teardrop was changed to it. If there has been shall not be Kokoro Guro Shiku and I think that would have sported disappointed if you do not come yourself. Greeting of your henges. To sign that I come in the spring. But I came to see you naturally be madly in love too. But now recall that a too many. Do not go up to hear the talk. Around she amended today and Amada color also come to feels comfortable fall respectively tears. There is not even a force to suppress their own. Quote. And it was relayed from the temple. A new year also called should fall things carry nari tears of pretend pain people. There is your Odin reply that it will be had no matter how you sad. Yakuchu to Genji 22-23 years of age than 2 years old.